All right, thank you everyone. Welcome to the Increased Conversion Workshop here at Duda. My name is Cody. You probably met me before if you've come to one of our other webinars or our last workshop we did last week. So I'm really excited to have you guys here for this one. We are recording this workshop, so we will be sending out a replay hopefully tomorrow. To everyone who registered and signed up, so just want to let you guys know that ahead of time. There we go. All right, so we're going to cover a few things today. Now, this isn't like our normal webinar where we go through and I have a big, long presentation. I actually do have kind of a big, long presentation, but I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible and get through. This is going to be a shorter. Workshop today. It's probably going to be about 30 minutes. I'm going to try to get through the presentation in about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes if I can, save some time for a bit of a demo and some Q&A with you guys. So I'm going to go through what personalization is, how it works, some of the benefits to your clients, show you a few examples, do a quick live demo to show you how personalization works on Duda, and then I'll save time at the end for Q&A. And since this is a more intimate setting, rather than the webinars where we have hundreds of people, this is just a few people there. I think there's like 10 people or less maybe on this call today. So if you have a question, now's a good time to ask it. I'll do my best to answer it for you. And if we only have a few people, if you just raise your hand, I'll go ahead and unmute you, let you just ask your question so you guys can speak too. So this is just a little bit more of an intimate setting than our normal big webinars we do with lots of folks. This is just kind of training just as a resource for you guys. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get through and let's talk a little bit about personalization. So personalization is basically what you get when you change your website for the visitors that come to it. And this really customizes that user experience for the visitor. And really, this is something you've probably seen all over the web and maybe haven't realized it, but like if you've ever bought anything on Amazon, go to any Amazon page, and they're using information about you as a user to change what's displayed to you on that page. So for instance, if you ever see order now and receive this product by this date, well, Amazon's looking at the time and today's date that you're accessing this product page, and they're referencing that to their shipping times and telling you how quickly they can get that product to you by a certain date to create a sense of urgency in the user. And this helps them increase sales, and that's why they do it. So there's a number of different ways you can personalize a website. Using time like Amazon is a very popular way, and we can do that on Duda as well. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail later. But there's a number of ways you can personalize a website. So on Duda, this works with triggers and actions. Triggers are conditions that when they're set up will automatically execute some kind of action. And we have a number of triggers available, so that can be the time, and time can reference a couple of things. It can be like the time of day, like between 4 and 6 p.m. It could be a certain date, like New Year's or Valentine's Day. Or it could be a day of the week, like every Friday or Saturday and Sunday just for the weekend. Or it could be an entire month. There's a lot of variability there. You can do by device type, so that could be just for people who are on mobile, just for people who are on tablet, just for people who are on desktop, or by where a person is. So you can use a trigger or use a location as a trigger, so that can be accurate down to about the city level. You can also use the number of times someone's been to the website before. So if this is someone's first visit, so they've been there 0 times, you can show them one thing, maybe like a welcome video, and if they've been there 3, 4, 5, 6 times, maybe they're really interested and engaged with your client's brand, so you can show them some social media, ask them to engage on Facebook or something like that. And then finally, the campaign URL. This is a little bit more advanced. And if you guys have some questions about that, I'd be happy to go through it today. And that's a way to differentiate between paid traffic and organic traffic. So you can actually set up a specific URL where you're just you're appending the URL of your website, and you can use that in your paid advertising. And show different stuff, different CTA, different offer, different prices to traffic from a certain source, typically paid traffic. And the actions that are available, you can show a new row of content, you can show a notification bar, add some special effects, execute special code, or even show a pop-up. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. So there's a lot of benefits to your clients when you set them up with personalization, including lowered bounce rate, increasing their page views, and then helping their customers get more engagement leads them to spend more time on the site. So we actually did a study here at Duda involving over 2,000 of our websites that we host. So this is a study we did here, and we learned a couple of interesting things. First is that the bounce rate on sites that used personalization was about 25% lower than sites on our platform that didn't, which is pretty interesting. That's a significant improvement in bounce rate. And bounce rate, it means someone went to the site, loaded the site, then didn't click any other links on the site and just exited the site. That's a bounce. And that was lower on sites with personalization. The traffic that went there, sites with personalization, visitors visited about 7% more pages per session, which was good. And of the time that they spent on the site was about 17% more. That's almost 20% more. That's a really good increase in time spent looking at these sites, checking out their pages, checking out their offers. These users were way more engaged. So the bottom line here is that using personalization really helps you increase your clients' engagement with their visitors, which hopefully turns them more into paying customers. And we actually did a case study with a restaurant called the Gladly in Phoenix that used a notification bar insight to let customers know about Restaurant Week that was happening and a promotion they were running. And just by adding this notification bar, they had a 70% increase in conversion and paying customers. And they're a restaurant, and they're not a cheap restaurant either, so that equals a lot of money for them, for their restaurant, for that Restaurant Week, just by using that insight. So a couple of examples of things you can do with Insight. For example, here on the left, you can show, let's say, your clients are closed for the day. Rather than showing a phone number, if there's no one around to answer the phone, you can change that to be like an appointment scheduler or a contact form or something like that. If you have a client that's a restaurant, you could set up like a reservation notification. This is the same sort of thing that worked for the Gladly that helped improve their conversion for Restaurant Week. You can also do stuff for device-specific things. This example here says add a click-to-call just for folks who are coming there during regular business hours. Let them know that they can call the business and that they're open. Or you could do a special promotion for people coming from a certain traffic source here on the right, where a visitor clicks a link either from a partner or on an ad, a display ad, and then you can go ahead and show a special offer to that paid traffic source. So let's go ahead and get started with a little bit of a demo here, and hopefully I'll be able to save enough time to go through and answer any questions you guys have. Let's stop here. I don't see any questions right now, so that's good. So I'm going to go to Insight. So this is the Duda editor, and to add personalization to any site, you just go to Insight, and then we have a number of pre-made insights ready for you guys to use. So you can add like a pop-up, add a notification bar, show a video to first-time visitors. So you can go ahead and select a number of these pre-made insights. I'm going to go ahead and show you working with building a custom insight here. So build your own insight. So I'll select Build Insight. And you can see that it's a wizard with multiple steps. So our first step is to add triggers. Next step will be to add actions, and then the final step will be to finalize and customize it. So the first thing we're going to do is add a trigger, and you can see that we have all the triggers that I mentioned earlier in the presentation here. So I could click on device, or location, or time, or visits, or campaign URL. And you'll notice that these all clicked on. That's because you can use them in combination with each other. So if you want to have someone who is in a certain city on a mobile phone, you could do that, or who's coming from a certain city at a certain time for example, people in San Francisco right after the Giants won the World Series, they could have a special, a special World Series drink discount or something like that at your restaurant. So that's an example. Of course, if you want to just display a pop-up, you can also display to all visitors without a trigger here. So I'll set up these two. I'll set up location and time. So I'll go ahead and click Next. So for location, you can do it by country, you can do it by state, but we're accurate down to about the city level. So I'm going to go down to Palo Alto. That's where Duda is located, in sunny Palo Alto, California. And you can see that since I've selected two triggers, I have now two steps up here. So first is location, next will be time, and then I'll be selecting actions. So I'll go ahead and click Next now that I've determined my city. And now I can choose a date. So this will be, let's do this like a special promo for like a weekend special. So I can do, I can select a certain date for this to work on, and I'm choosing a start date here, and I can choose an end date. So I'm going to start this, let's go ahead and start it in November, and let's just have this thing run all the way through November. So I'll change my end date, the end of November. Now, if by default this will run all day, but you can actually uncheck this and select a certain time if you'd like. And you can also select a time zone because maybe you're in a different time zone or your client is in a different time zone than you are. So we did want to give you control over that. All right, so now I've got this going this date to this date, and I can choose how often this reoccurs. So this can happen once, you can have this reoccur weekly, monthly, or yearly, and then you can preview exactly when this insight will be applied on the calendar. So all the days that are highlighted, this will be applied. So I guess this will be more like a November sale sort of thing. So, okay, I've got my time trigger set up. Now I'll go to Next, and now I can select my action. So there's a number of actions here. The new row actually just creates a new row of content. I think it's probably the most versatile, aside from the JavaScript one, which you really need to custom code in order to use. But I'd be happy to show you guys an example of that if you're curious about it when I'm done here. So I'll use the new row because it is probably one of the easiest to get value out of, as well as the pop-up. Those are both great actions. I'll go ahead and select new row and click Next. And then we can choose a page for this new row to appear on. I'll just leave it on the home page, and we'll choose an action. We'll just leave it as coupon. That's fine. And that's just what the row will be automatically populated with. You can, of course, adjust this. So you can see now on my home page here, this highlighted row is the new row that will display only when the insight is activated. And the rest of my site is grayed out. If I want to, I can actually replace or hide other rows here while my insight is activated. So I can go ahead and I can hide this particular row when my insight is activated, and I'm actually going to move the insight row. I'll move it down underneath my header, so it'll be underneath my main CTA here, and it's going to replace my normal stuff that I talk about there. Now, this is a normal row in every other regard, so you can go ahead, you can add elements to it. If I wanted to, let's say, for example, add a button here underneath. I could very much add a button underneath my special offer. I'll just say buy now. And so I could add a special, I could add an element here. You can add more columns. You can change the background if you want to. You can adjust this in the same way you adjust any other row in Duda. I'm not going to get too in depth on that. Then when you're finished, go ahead and click Done. And then finally, you name your own insight. And I'll just call this November promo. I go ahead and save. And now we can preview that insight. So I'll go to the preview page. And this is what my site looks like normally. And then I can select that insight from a drop-down up here. I'll choose November promo. And you'll see the site refreshes here. And this is what it'll look like just for people in Palo Alto in the month of November they'll get a special offer, probably to congratulate them on the Giants World Series win. So that'll be that. So that's the basics of how you set up personalization on Duda. Again, there's a lot of triggers and actions available here to customize your sites. So there's a lot you can do with Insight, a lot you can do with personalization for your clients. So that was about 20 minutes with my presentation and demo. We've got about 10 minutes left. I did want to save some time for Q&A and just kind of leave it open-ended. I'll cover whatever you guys want to talk about or have questions about with regard to Insight. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up now. If you've got questions, go ahead and I think if you just raise your hand on here, I should be able to call on you. If you don't want to speak, that's fine. You can just type your question in the chat box too. John, you're very welcome. Thank you for attending. All right, guys, any questions at all? Comments, feedback? Do you like the new workshop system? It doesn't seem like everyone's feeling kind of shy right now. No one wants to talk. Okay, I'll give it a few more seconds in case anyone has any questions. Oh, there we go. Ed says, awesome presentation. Thank you, Ed. John saying, can you drill down on an insight for a specific date and time? Okay, that's a good question, John. Let me get on that. So an insight for a specific day and time. By specific day and time, do you mean like, let's do a specific date. Let's do like New Year's Eve or something like that. So I'll go to build your own insight. We'll go to time, and I'll click next. And let's see, we're going to change our end date here. So let's change our start date. So this will be, we'll start this on, not November, but December 31st. And we'll change our end date to January 1st, 2017. And this will run, we can have this run all day, or we can uncheck it. We can have it start at, I don't know, let's see, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is how you would select a specific time of day that you want this to run. I want it to run all day for both of these 2 days, so I'm going to check all day again. So this will run from December 31st to January 1st, 2017. And I'll preview that in the calendar so you can see it's running for just these 2 specific days. And I'll click next. My action I want is I'm going to choose special effect. In my special effects, I'm going to do fireworks. Let's preview the fireworks. That's the fireworks animation. That's fantastic. So let's go ahead and select it. Let's preview the insight. And this is what our site will look like on New Year's Day with our fireworks animation applied. It's a little cheesy, but customers love it. They love this stuff. The holiday decorations, the falling snowflakes, the fireworks. Customers really, really get engaged with this sort of thing. Ed is asking, do we have a replay? Yes, Ed, we are recording this, so we will go ahead and have a replay available. Okay, Adam has a question here. I say, had a coupon pop-up for client set to pop up every time. It will only pop up once on cell phone. Is this because the site was cached on the phone? It would work every time I put my phone in incognito mode. That's an interesting question. So you had it set to pop up every time. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the pop-up settings. Here, let's try to recreate the situation. So we go back into the editor here. Oh, I think I clicked the wrong thing here. There we go. All right, so let's create a new insight. Let's create a pop-up. We're going to display it to all visitors without trigger. So this will be to everyone. And the pop-up's only going to be displayed once per session. So if they're still, that page is still loaded in their site, or it's still the same browsing session, then it's only going to show once. So if they didn't close the site, if they didn't close that tab, I think that could create the behavior that you're talking about. Otherwise, it should be showing up immediately. If you still have issues with that, or it's not working the way you expect, share your feedback with our support team, and they'll be sure to pass that on up to the product team. You're welcome, John. Okay, guys, we've got a few more minutes left. If there's any more questions or anything else I can share with you guys, please let me know. Oh, you're very welcome, Adam. Yeah, any feedback or questions, I'm hanging out to answer them. Any word on the, Adam's asking, any word on the poll that was taken a month ago? Yeah, I'm not sure what I can really share about the poll that was taken a month ago. I know it's been dissected internally at Duda, so I don't really have anything I can share on that at the moment. But if there is anything I can share later, I'll definitely let you know. Thanks, John. You have a great day too. All right, folks. Doesn't look like there's too many more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Go ahead and cut it off here. So thank you so much for coming. Again, we'll go ahead and send the replay out to everyone who joined tomorrow. So thanks a bunch for joining the workshop.